As they were about to stay with us, I hadn't made a reservation. My mind was blank with hostility on this family vacation that I didn't even want to go on, ending up at a fancy hotel. My husband, Spencer, pretends not to be aware of her animosity toward me and walks away, leaving me behind with a casual, "We'll see you at checkout, Emily." They disappear into the luxurious hotel. My name is Emily, and I finally turned 30 this year. I'm a stay-at-home mom living with Spencer, my mother-in-law Kate, and my son Sean, who turned 3 this year. Spencer and I met on a blind date 7 years ago and ended up marrying. We've been living an ordinary life without any major quarrels, known to be a couple very much in love among the neighbors. 2 years after we got married, we had our son. Spencer was busy with work, but actively helped me with childcare. I had no complaints about him, and we were living in a normal family environment. However, after the birth of Sean, things started to deteriorate. 6 months ago, my father-in-law passed away, and Kate moved in with us. The last time I saw her, other than at the wedding, was when Spencer and I visited her to announce our engagement. So it had been a long time, and my first impression of her was not a very good one. My father-in-law, on the other hand, treated me kindly, and I had a good impression of him. "Spencer, are you sure she is the right woman for you? I'm worried she's going to give you a hard time." I remembered her blatantly speaking her mind. Spencer tried hard to make her accept the marriage, but the way she looked at me was not very nice. We managed to get her approval after some persuasion from her husband and Spencer. I still think she shouldn't have openly made such remarks in front of me. I was worried if we could get along once she moved in with us. I tried to be positive and switched my mind to do my best with her when she and her belongings arrived at the house. I helped her unpack, and she was very kind to Sean, who turned 3 years old while she took care of him. Spencer and I unpacked, and I asked him to take care of the heavy stuff while I organized the small things. The unpacking went smoothly, and there was only the small stuff left for me to do. "This is supposed to go over here. I wonder what kind of education you went through." She commented about a fake plant that could be put anywhere. I put it there to improve the atmosphere of the room, but Kate pointed it out to me. Although displeased, I tried to think she was just particular and moved it to the spot she wanted. She looked after Sean for a little while and started watching TV without offering to help me. I didn't even have time to pay attention to him, but she scolded me to watch him. I had my hands full with him and unpacking. But I couldn't ask Spencer, who was taking a rest after carrying heavy things, to help me out. I finished tidying up with mixed feelings, trying to think that she was feeling unsettled about changing her living environment, pushing away my frustration for her. After that, her criticism continued every day, and one morning, I woke up early to prepare breakfast for everyone and tried to take a rest. The house was messy, and if I had time to rest, she insisted I should clean it up. She never gave me a moment of rest throughout the day, constantly criticizing how I did things. She was hardly ever at home during the daytime, let alone doing anything herself. I was getting mentally strained by such a life, and I decided to talk to Spencer about her. "She must be having a hard time since Dad's gone. Take it easy on her," I pleaded. However, he wasn't any help. Even though he knew how she treated me, he didn't intervene. Every night, regardless of my feelings, I found myself lying in bed, hands on my forehead, drifting off to sleep in despair. My 3-year-old son cried at night, unable to bear the fatigue and sleepiness. I couldn't bring myself up, and Spencer rushed to his side. Kate must have woken up by the noise and shook me violently. "How are you still sleeping when your son is crying? How can you live with yourself, Spencer? It's a woman's job." She yelled at me for being exhausted and unable to move. I didn't want to make things worse, so I quietly got up and went to Sean. I ended up getting no sleep that night. Spencer was off that day, and I was thinking about what to cook for lunch. Kate started preparing, and when she put the meals on the table, one plate was missing. It looks like one portion is missing. I married Spencer, who works hard, and my grandson, of course. "There's none for you," Make your own. I was absolutely mortified. I had been wondering if she was bullying me, but it became clear at that point. I had been unaware of it for a long time. I couldn't stand her without thinking that she was just being hard on me to make me a better wife. If I didn't think that way, I would have broken down. I couldn't talk back to her, so I confided in my friend after I dropped off Scene at daycare. That's definitely bullying. How are you holding up? I told the details to my best friend from childhood. She listened attentively and showed great concern, and I finally broke down in tears in front of her. I had been fighting against my frustrations and suppressing them at home for so long. She encouraged me, saying that I was doing my best and that I would be okay. I will help you. I will figure something out, she assured me. We parted as we both had things to do at home. Even though we didn't talk for very long, I felt lighter. My friend suggested a couple of things. One was to put a bug in the house and record what was said on a daily basis. I bought a cheap recorder on the way to pick up Scene and set it up discreetly at home. In the middle of cleaning, I picked up a piece of paper that had fallen out of a drawer in Kate's room. When I opened it, I saw a personal loan agreement, and the amount was $20,000. I couldn't believe my eyes, but I thought this might be useful and put the paper in my pocket. After a while, Kate returned and Spencer came home just in time for dinner. We sat around the dinner table with the usual complaints from Kate. Oh, by the way, my friend gave me a discount coupon for a one-night stay at the 5-star spa hotel. The fact that she brought up the subject suggested that she wanted to go. Spencer was very much in favor of it, and my son was also excited. I didn't feel particularly enthusiastic, assuming the trip would be a horrible experience for me. However, Kate surprised me with an unexpected invitation. Well, since you're here and always working so hard, you can come along too. I couldn't believe my ears, considering how much she had harassed me. Maybe she meant well, I thought, reluctant to believe she offered with malice. She expressed her desire to book everything the next day. Unable to sleep that night, I sat on the sofa for a long time contemplating the trip. Scene wanted to go too, but it was challenging to take him alone, and my mom couldn't watch him. Reluctantly, I considered Spencer's plea for me to join, even though he turned a blind eye to my suffering caused by his own mother. I don't want to go, Spencer. You don't help me when I'm being mistreated by your mother, I asserted. He couldn't say anything to that, but he pleaded with me to join. So, I gave him a condition. Have a look at this. I found it when I was cleaning Kate's room. I showed him the IOU with the $20,000 debt. His face showed disbelief. He couldn't believe his mother had such a debt. Can we help her pay this off as her son? He asked, knowing I'd managed our finances. I declined, having no good intentions to help someone who mistreated me. While I understood his feelings as a son, I couldn't accept his plea. I beg you. I want you to help me with this and the trip only if you accept my conditions, I proposed. The first condition was that he must intervene when Kate mistreated me. The second was to make rules for her, write them down, and post them all over the house. If she couldn't agree, we would kick her out. Spencer agreed, and I asked my friend to post the rules while we were away. We decided to act as usual until after the trip. Spencer and I would drop the bomb then. On the day of the trip, Spencer took everyone's bags, and we were about to leave the house. Kate's bullying started immediately. You don't need to carry the bags, let Emily do it. Spencer glanced at me apologetically, and I obeyed, not wanting to cause animosity before what was to come later. The bags were heavy, making it difficult for me to carry them while also taking care of Scene. I suppose I wouldn't have any energy left to enjoy the hotel. We took a bus a little further away and then drove over a mountain road to the hotel. The exterior and interior were beautiful and luxurious. Scene was excited, exploring every corner, and Kate went to check us in at the front desk. Afterward, as I grabbed my bag to go to the room, Kate's words blew me out of the hotel. Were you planning to stay with us? I only made a reservation for the 3 of us. I had no idea what she was talking about, and at that moment, It became clear she never intended to let me stay with them from the beginning. Gradually understanding the situation, I was shocked. I inquired, "Where should I sleep then?" To which she indifferently replied, "I don't know. Annabelle care. Why don't you just camp out in the wild around there?" She nonchalantly asked me to join, casually suggesting I sleep out in the woods. Something was seriously wrong with her, and I couldn't help but feel enraged. I was on the verge of yelling at her, but she and my family vanished into the hallway with a casual, "I will see you at checkout time, okay?" Stunned, I stood in the lobby for a while before deciding to leave the hotel. I knew there was a catch, but I didn't expect to be forced to camp out. I was on the verge of tears. All I received from Spencer was a message saying, "I'm sorry," and I couldn't even bring myself to reply. It was past noon when we arrived, so I had lunch at a random cafe and found an open field with a good night view. As soon as I arrived at the field, my friend called, asking how the trip was going. I explained what had just happened, and she was furious. She offered to pick me up, but I declined. I was thankful, but I was sure Kate would get what she wanted if I left. I couldn't foresee what she might do to me later. After hanging up, I decided to consult a lawyer just in case. I sent him my evidence, intending to sue her for emotional abuse if she were to be kicked out after the trip. The lawyer assured me that I could file a claim if it was determined that there was no premeditation. I had concrete evidence that should have proven it. After the call, mental and physical exhaustion hit me hard, and I lay down on the fresh grass, ending the day in an open field with a beautiful night view and a gentle breeze. The next morning, I met up with Kate and my family just in time for checkout. Kate immediately criticized, "Emily, did you stay in the woods? I bet you didn't even clean yourself. You're so filthy." Spencer tried to intervene, but she quickly changed the subject. It seemed he must have told her that forcing me out was too much. She bragged happily about how nice the hotel was, and Scene's smile was my only consolation on the way back home. Upon our return, Kate immediately shouted, "What is all this? Don't play with me." There were rules posted all over the house. She must have read some of them because her face turned red, and she became furious. Then Spencer showed her the IOU, and her red face immediately turned pale. Initially attempting to deny it, she eventually confessed to a spree with her late husband's life insurance. When the money ran out, she couldn't stop the habit and borrowed from Spencer. We proceeded as discussed, and Spencer firmly stated, "I can't have someone who has a debt living with us. I would ask you to leave. Of course, I have proof of what you have done to me. I will sue you," I declared, playing the recording for her to listen. As she heard the playback, her face turned as white as a ghost, and she begged me to let her stay. I informed her that she could stay if she agreed to abide by the rules and refrain from aggressive behavior. She eagerly agreed and apologized, saying, "I'm very sorry. Please help me. I beg you." Witnessing her in this state was unexpected, and I felt a sense of satisfaction, thinking it was finally over. My knees buckled, and I fell to the floor. Spencer sat me down in a chair and started yelling at her about the debt. His respect and trust for her had undoubtedly crashed down, and she must have never imagined a day when her son would scold her furiously, to which she frantically apologized. After settling everything, she kept silent and stared at the sky for the rest of the day. The atmosphere in the household changed drastically the next day. When I woke up early to prepare breakfast as usual, Kate immediately made a nasty remark. What differed from usual was the change in Spencer's attitude. He spoke out in a firm tone, saying, "Mom, we just talked about this yesterday." She choked on her words and went to sit on the sofa. Though tempted to laugh at the scene, I held it in and continued preparing breakfast. Spencer felt guilty about not being a protector and couldn't stand strong against Kate, who raised him. I knew in my heart that he was a kind man, and there must have been something on his mind to turn a blind eye. I didn't blame him. Though I needed him on my side, I couldn't hate the man I fell in love with. He apologized to me in tears, and afterward, He started to watch over me, while Kate's attitude improved day by day. She still pointed out some minor things, but I didn't feel any malice from her. I hoped she would continue like this, allowing me to live with ease and maintain a healthy mind. The debt payment was $700 a month, and Spencer and I cooperated to pay it back. As Kate was too old to work, I secured a part-time job, balancing work and home responsibilities. Kate took care of taking my son to and from daycare, doing a commendable job. Despite her bad habit, Spencer managed her finances. Our family changed gradually for the better. Though dealing with a terrible mother-in-law might make some consider divorce, I couldn't bring myself to do that. Fortunately, I found a solution that helped rebuild my family. I felt lucky and grateful for my friend who listened and encouraged me during tough times. Without her, I would have had no one to vent to, possibly leading to a mental breakdown. When remembering the pain I went through, I get teary-eyed but pat my own shoulder, acknowledging that I tried my best to hold my family together, even in moments of depression and lacking motivation to cook and clean. I completed my tasks to ensure everyone could have a decent life, especially my son, and the sense of accomplishment fills my heart. While I may never fully forgive Kate, she will always be my mother-in-law, and I choose to treat her kindly. Several years have passed since then, and my son has grown up, starting preschool. We are almost finished paying off our debts and are considering moving to a new house. Kate has started to help me a little, and my relationship with Spencer has become better than before. We are even thinking of having another child. My family is now stable, and I am content. I will continue to do my best for my family,